Hi, I'm Walter. I'm the Dutch mentor. And welcome to the S.M.A.R.T Performance Podcast. S for self-care, M for mindful growth, A for adaptive problem solving, R for rhythmic operation, T for building a thriving community, and of course, P for performance. I'm really happy to have Dr. Angela Kerek with me today. We're going to have a very interesting conversation around mindset, but there's a deeper meaning. We talk about, being environmentally friendly. I think she has a great idea on how we can address some of the massive amounts of plastics that are floating in our oceans, and how you as an individual, or maybe even as a team challenge, can have a material impact on that by doing some things that she's going to talk about. Angela, thank you very much for being here this morning. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. So, my background is a professional tennis player, which I was in the first part of my life. I turned a lawyer later on and practiced corporate finance for 15 years. And now I have moved into the third phase or the next transformation in my life, which is being a startup founder and a mindset trainer, mindset coach. Exactly. So I'm based in Berlin, and I'm looking forward to talking about positive impact on the environment.
Excellent. So mindset that encompasses a lot, right? So dive a little bit into it for me. What does what does mindset in your interpretation mean, and and why is that important?
Mindset in my interpretation means training my mind. So it's the same way I train my body. We all have the ability to train our minds towards doing what we want to do. In what I mean by that is we are not, at the mercy of our mindset. We are not at the mercy of what happens, but can influence what we're doing and what we're thinking massively if we train our mind to do positive things for us. So take it, it's like a habit. We have habits externally, like what we drink, what we do, but we also have habits in terms of what we think. So that can be triggered by a sound. It can be triggered by a smell or seeing a person. And then without knowing, it beams us somewhere. Which is the way this mind's habit is trained. So now the question is, does the mind know whether that's good or bad? And the answer is it doesn't. So I need to train it to move into a realm. Well, I know what I want it to do. Let's say I don't want it to react. So I see a person who I don't like. So I don't want to turn away, but I want to train my mind to stay in there and say just hello. Or to move you back on the tennis court, if I'm in a part of a match where it's really, really tough, I don't want my mind to wander into oh my God, what's going to happen if I lose, which it does automatically. But I want to train it to come back and just focus on the next point. In my world, I've learned that in the sports world, I learned how athletes train that. And what I help people doing that is do the same in the working environment, because the habits of the minds are the same, whether you're on court or off court, in the office or at home.
Very, very interesting stuff. And yes, for certainly our minds can take us places and it can be triggered. I had a couple of trauma specialists on over the last few episodes, and that's certainly a part that they work on very much, right? Is to try to remove that anxiety and remove that trigger to reframe it again. Now, we all know that in order to retrain the mind, this is not something that done overnight. Give us an example of maybe for yourself or a client you have worked with that you try to convert something, and give our listeners a sense on how long it takes for people to actually make this a new normal.
Yeah, so it's a process. So training the mind is in the same way as training the body is a process. So let's say I trained my body after my second child to become strong again. It took me over a year to lose, 20 kilos and become strong again. So the mind is heavily influenced by either a trauma we had or our parents, the way our parents raised us. And let's say an example is I can't do or I can't have a goal which I put to myself because I convince myself that I'm never able to do it. So I can't become a founder because I've never learned founder. Yeah. But then I think to myself, so why not actually? So who told me that I'm not a founder type of person? And then I go back, trace it back where this can come from, trace it back how I was raised. Was I raised with a mindset which is like stiff, saying you were never good in math, so you're not good in math, you will never be good in math? This is what my little boy tells me. Or do I raise myself, re-raise myself, reframe my mindset in a way to say, well, if I'm not good in math, it means I'm not practicing. I'm not doing my homework. But if I start doing my homework, if I start training my mind to believe in myself, then I'm going to be good in math. I'm going to be a founder because guess what? There are millions of founders out there who never learned founder as well. So why not me?
I love it, right? It is that people have to remember that the brain, even though we have two equal hemispheres, left and right, it's 2/3 negative and only 1/3 positive, right? And what you're talking about is the reframing. If you want to be successful, you have to think, live, breathe, and continue to talk about and reinforce to yourself that you will visualize that you can be successful. And the habit building takes 90 to 120 days, right? If you do something consistent, it's a slogan of my business. In just 15 minutes per day, you too can be. So if you want to have a positive mindset, an entrepreneurial mindset, a founder mindset, well, you need to practice that with real great intentions, 15 minutes a day in order to get there. So thank you for laying that out. I would love to transition to go into what it is that you have done with that. So obviously you have a brilliant career, being a tennis player myself, albeit a very, very much of an amateur. I know what it feels like when you're down 0-4 and say, okay, let's go to the next set, but you still got 7-8 points left to play. Not comparison to anything that you have done, but I think it is relevant to all the things that we have done going forward. So first I want to ask you the question, what made you pivot from corporate finance law to wanting to do something different? A lot of people have gone through that. I've spoken openly about mine. I've made 3 pivots as well. I'm in my 3rd pivot today, and I'm very, very happy. And I think we owe it to ourselves, to live our fullest lives, doing the things we love doing most. But tell me a little bit about your pivot, especially the last one.
So the last one was is very simply triggered by the fact that I realized I want to do more in my life. So I've had a tennis career, then I successfully raised to the reins of a partnership of an international law firm, which I thought was my goal. And once I was there and I lived through it for a couple of years, I realized, well, it doesn't give me enough. So I thought I have so many plans in my head, I have so many ideas that I cannot keep sitting in an office and drafting contracts, basically. So it started being too small. It didn't permit other parts of myself to grow. And it started by writing a book with my former coach. So we wrote about the techniques of athletes for mindset trainings for a winning mindset. We wrote about that and transferred it into the business world. That was the first trigger when I said, okay, so I can write a book in a totally different topic and still be a lawyer. And then I realized, well, but I want to do more. So around 10 years ago, I started having a list of all of the things I want to do as long as I am alive. And that list keep getting longer and longer. And first I had like 50 items on it, and then it grew to 100. And it keeps growing. So I take the stuff off and I keep adding. So it grows and grows. So I need space. So basically, I was in an environment where I thought I don't have enough space to do everything I want to do. And the transition phase is always, it takes a few years. It's never from one day to another. And as you said, you start 15 minutes a day, start being, a writer, then you write a book, then you do the next thing. But there's every day a little bit of training and a little bit of practice of your future self. So my future self is basically what I do today. And 50 minutes a day for a start is good because it gets you hooked. And then you end up doing it for hours. Now I'm in a space where I'm able to do a lot of things at the same time and still have my living, which is still funded by being a lawyer, but I'm my own little law firm.
Good. Yeah, I love that. Things I've learned that, working in the middle of my career in corporate environment, that, you pursue two things, right? To be the very best version of yourself and get to the top of whatever career ladder you're climbing. And with that, of course, comes a nice paycheck. I learned very quickly that money doesn't make you happy. But because you really only have one life to live, and there's one thing in life that you never get back, right? And that's time. And the more time you spend doing things you really don't love doing is one thing less, or less time that you have to knock off those things on your list of 100. And I always encourage people to dream big and act small, and to make a list of things that you want to do, because listen, I'm in my mid-50s now. Time is not infinite, right? It is something that you have to take into consideration, and some of the things that and I'm sure that you want to do, requires us to be active, and cannot wait until I'm into my 80s, so to speak. So, taking what you have done at this point in time, which I love, take it into what we talked about earlier. You said something about ecological impact and plastics. You got me curious. Tell me how you got to that point, and what is it you're trying to accomplish?
So this is a startup which is an app on Google or on the Apple platform. Everybody can download, and this app is doing the following: is translating and counting your physical activity, and translates that into ecological impact. So it's encouraging you to move. It's encouraging you to train your mindset. And for that, at the same time, we give you the opportunity to make an ecological impact by either removing plastic from the ocean, planting trees, planting kelp forests, encouraging communities of children. That will be our next step for social impact. So basically, we want you to have a positive handprint on the environment, not just a footprint. So why I did this? Because it basically brings me full circle. So I was focused on the mindset, but most part of me is about moving my body. So I still train a lot. I'm as fit as I never was. This solution brings me full circle because it integrates body training, mindset training, and it has a positive impact on the environment, which is where I feel the best.
Okay, so I like the concept, but explain to me what is me running down the road? How does that impact the environment positively?
So first, you for yourself are trying to live a sustainable life, which means you're trying to be healthy. The more you move, the healthier you will eat. The healthier you will eat, the less you will impact, negatively the environment. And at the same time, for every step you make, we're basically counting it through devices or through manually. You can input that as well. We calculated how many trees that is. Say you run 1 kilometer, you walk 1 kilometer, you plant 1 tree. And then you turn it into a personal challenge for yourself. Personally, I have 1,500 trees at the moment, but the platform has already planted 1.5 million trees since it was founded. So we are having big plans for this year. We are revamping this app completely. So version 2.0 is up and coming in a month or so. And what we're doing is we are encouraging employers, HR departments, founders, leaders to activate their workforce. So we want you to give people positive energy by moving them, by giving them purpose, and by bringing them together as a community who do this together.
So, and that's the reason why I was trying to go a little deeper, is because, of course, it's the mindset of I now want to live a healthier life, that I'm going to make healthier choices. On your website or anywhere, do you suggest what some of these healthier choices are on how you can reduce your plastic handprint or your carbon handprint?
At the moment, I have so the one platform I have where I do just mindset training, which is on my website www.angelakerek.com. On the resources part, I have a 21-day email training. So it's email sequences in which I encourage you for 15 minutes a day. So it was right on point. For 15 minutes a day, you do something for 21 days, and I'm guardrailing you with my emails to achieve your goal. So all it takes for you is 15 minutes a day. So that's the mindset. That's basically how I train your mind. I keep you focused, and if you go off race, I bring you back, and I keep you focused on achieving one goal. Why? Because if you achieve one goal in 21 days, you can achieve any goal, whatever you propose to yourself. Now on the platform, which is called Active Giving, activegiving.de for Germany, we are encouraging these challenges. We are revamping the website as well, where we have more educational material for the impact part. And this is where we would, show you the projects we work with, show what the work they're doing, and what that means. We will also, once the new platform is launched or relaunched, we will have nutritional advice, we will have mindset advice, we will have advice of how you train your body in order to live a sustainable life. Because once you have that in your mind and your mindset is focused and driven on living a sustainable life, the positive handprint, it comes automatically. But first is awareness.
It is it certainly is. I want to go back to the question. You say your app has so far taken 1.5 million trees planted. Now, is there actually a connection between the app, the function, actually physically planting a tree, or is that how should we look at that?
No, we use partners, so we don't plant the trees ourselves, but we use partners who plant the trees for us. And the bigger your ambition, the more you will be able to see your own little forest building. So basically, if you go over 10,000 trees for a challenge for your employees, we will be able to do a sub forest for you, where you can see live what's happening. You can count the trees that are planted. The same with the plastic. We work with a partner who tracks it on blockchain, so you will be able to see in which project you have removed how many kilograms of plastic, and so on. So it's going to be more targeted from now on. You can still see it on our website now in the 1.0 version. But stay tuned, because the second version will be absolutely magnificent.
Excellent, because I think it is really important to make that connection to saying I am making this impact to actually making an impact.
Yes.
That reminds me that people, organizations like that are always looking for people to plant trees. It's actually a job. They go out into the hills in the Amazon or throughout the world with a bag of saplings, and they plant saplings every 8 or 10 feet. Enough spacing so they can have a nice new growth. So again, it really is it's a brilliant idea. It's a really good way to make a positive impact on the environment, but even more importantly, to get moving, right? And that's really the message there. So we can find you at angelakerek.ed or .com.
angelakerek.com and activegiving.de.
Excellent. So that will be in the show notes as well. Give me a closing thought or a quote or something that you want the audience to hang on to.
It's never too late to start. It's never too late to revamp your life. It's never too late to move and to put yourself into a new mindset. You just have to do it and believe in it, because I believe in you.
I love it. And you said that with a smile on your face, and both your mouth and your eyes. So I believe you totally. And to the audience, again, I always say is that we can sit here and listen and nod our heads like I did, but it is the action part that you need to take in just 15 minutes a day. You too can be whatever it is that you want to do, but you have to do it and stick to it. And of course, I always say measure it. Go to the Apple Store, download the Dutch Mentor app. In there's a tracking tool that you can keep yourself accountable. Of course, I can help you be accountable there too. Being a leader, an entrepreneur, and a sports figure, it doesn't make a difference. The key thing is you do not need to do it alone, right? Nobody went to the Olympics last week or 2 weeks ago alone. They all had good coaches and mentors. And Enza will tell you that she had some phenomenal people on her side to be able to become a great tennis player, lawyer, and now a really good entrepreneur. Again, thank you very much for everybody for coming today. We'll see you again at the next show, and take care. Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you and auf Wiedersehen.